Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the High Speed Internet Subcommittee meeting for, what is today, the 18th of July. Time is 6 o'clock. We're here in the Select Board Conference Room. And this meeting's being held in hybrid fashion, is being recorded. If anyone's recording the meeting, that's great. Just let Mr. Creswell know. Why don't we do a quick roll call? We'll go around the room and then we'll cover Zoom so that we can have it for the minutes. Doug Moglen, present.
Jim Johnson, present.
Marlene Quinlan, present.
Robert Boyd, present.
Chris Boyd, present.
Ian Cresswell, present.
And on Zoom,
Jason Jaguar, present.
Ryan Pease, present.
awesome. How about we dust off some minutes and get those kind of caught up as best we can? Let's see. December 7th, 2023. 6 o'clock. Comments on the minutes? You have them as well to follow along in case there's any changes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Ryan, do you know if you were here on December 7th?
I can look at my calendar, get back to you in a second.
No worries. I didn't see that you voted, so I'm thinking not. And I think where it says David, that should have been Ryan for absent. Ryan Peace. I don't believe that other gentleman was on the subcommittee at that time.
Okay. Should I just cross him out?
Yeah,
Yeah, I wasn't there. I was away. I was on vacation.
I think it was a typo in the.
I move that we accept the minutes
As amended.
as amended.
Is there a second?
A second.
Okay. Quick around the room. Doug Moglen, yes?
Yes, Jim Johnson.
Marlene Quinlan, yes.
Bob Boyd, yes.
I was absent, so.
Ian Cresswell, yes, I wasn't here for it. But I accept.
Jason
Gentlemen?
Jaguar, yes.
Ryan Pease, yes, I wasn't present though.
Okay. December 19th.
I move to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Creswell, second by Mr. Boyd. Roll call vote. Doug Moglen, aye.
I was absent from the meeting, so.
Okay, can abstain, is no problem.
I can abstain too.
Okay.
Bob Boyd, yes.
Chris Boyd, yes.
Ian Cresswell, yes.
Ryan Pease, yes.
Jason Jaguar, yes.
Well, we're killing it now. Tuesday, January 16th.
Quick one.
Yeah.
Yep.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Roll call vote. Doug Moglen, yes.
James Johnson, yes.
Marlene Quinlan, yes.
Bob Boyd, yes.
Chris Boyd, yes.
Ian Cresswell, yes.
Jason Jaguar, yes.
Ryan Pease, yes.
Tuesday, February 20th. Oh, it goes on the back. I can put him in that shirt.
Did we already accept the minutes on January 16th? Because there's a note on here saying amendment.
Yeah, we did. Yep, you're right. That's all right. We'll fix the spelling of Mr. Boyd on that one
Um,
on February 20th. This one, I lost track of which ones were accepted and not, so if we accepted them again, no harm, no foul.
Motion to accept.
Second.
Doug Mogul, yes?
James Johnson, yes.
Marlon Quinlan, yes.
Bob Boyd, yes.
Uh,
Ryan
Oh.
Pease, yes.
I thought I was at this one.
Jason Jagger, yes.
I don't recall being there. I don't know if I was there or not.
Ian Cresswell, yes.
And April
Yes, I think-
23rd, sorry,
Good work.
I thought I was
Yeah.
there, yeah.
all right, we'll fix it then.
Thank you.
We'll have to add into the votes too then. We can go back and look at the videotape too, no big deal.
Yeah,
Video recording, I guess we don't call it videotape anymore.
We still
We gotta get with the lingo.
Anybody
All right,
over
so-
a certain age.
April 23rd.
That's the longest thing.
No, I thought that was February 20th.
I thought we were talking about. Okay. Move to accept.
As amended, please, there's one typo on the second page that I saw.
As amended.
So, and I just have,
Sure.
a suggestion, because in the minutes, it says Jim wanted to mention that depending exactly where permitted, and there are two Jims on the committee.
Good point.
So probably just to, if it's a Jim thing, then maybe it just should have a last name.
Well, it's just we go first and last name, since we have two Jims, two boys.
Okay,
On a small committee, what's the chances?
It's a split personality.
There you go. Two Jims, two. The only one that can go by their first name is Jason.
Oh, I'm good, man.
I can go by my first name.
I'm one of the only Ians in town.
I have a mental thing with Jason's last name, so I always call him Jason.
Jason.
It's like a yip.
Jagger,
I know, you could say it 100 times, I can't. Is there a motion for the minutes as amended for the 23rd?
So moved.
Second,
Doug Mogul, yes?
James Johnson, yes.
Marlon Quinlan, yes.
Bob Boyd, yes.
Chris Board, yes.
Ian Cresswell, yes.
Jason Jagger, yes.
Ryan Pease, yes.
Thank you. All right, so we're caught up on, well, we're almost caught up on minutes then. I think we might have one more left in
No.
there.
No, that was it.
that's it. We didn't have a meeting in March and this past 2 months.
Okay, great. So I have one update for you from, that was then since our last meeting, was that we didn't get the $500,000 grant on the community compact. We got $250,000 though, so that'll be good.
On the same grant.
It's the same grant. We applied along with the school district, the Southwick Tolland Granville Regional School District, to try to make it a multi-municipality grant, because they are effectively an own governmental agency. But the community compact did not award us that second 250 grand. So we got 250,000, which is kind of what the grant was supposed to be. So we tried to go for the big money, and we hit a double instead of a homer. So, but $250,000 is still a good amount of change. So that'll be very helpful. And I don't know if I talked about it back then, because I don't remember what I had for lunch today. But we included in that map for the municipal fiber network, obviously that would ride on the same network as all of this other stuff, was all the pump stations, Wally Park, the library, the schools, this complex, DPW, cemetery.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
cemetery,
remember
because
we
that got us
talked
pretty
about
far
that,
south.
Yeah.
So we'll have that money in hand shortly.
Internet then.
Yeah, well, you know, they have all that stuff on computers now of who's where,
No,
so
no,
it's
understood.
kind of
There's
important.
a cemetery near you.
What's that? No, I got a family plot over there. My
Oh.
wife and I got a couple of spots over there. It'd be good to have
Oh,
it.
so you're good. for-
Well, you
I'm
know,
saying.
at that point.
I'll make sure my phone goes in with
So when we did last meet, we did talk about setting up just kind of a study group, if you will, to kind of start looking at some of the numbers. Who was on that group? Anybody recall? Was it yourself?
Ian and.
Bob, myself and Jim.
Probably.
Yeah, thank you. I was just gonna say.
Okay. And you had sent was it yesterday, the day before, you had sent some information over?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Yeah, Bob put together a very nice spreadsheet. Mostly commenting on it, so review and comment.
One question for you, Doug.
Sure.
According to the minutes in the last meeting, you mentioned the $900,000 grant, that was never touched. Is that the ARPA funds?
It's not a grant, that was ARPA money. Yeah,
Okay,
and that
so
still
that's
has,
in the spreadsheet.
yes, so that has not been touched. I'm gonna join the Zoom here.
Have they started the poll survey? Just curious.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I saw some folks up in my neck of the woods, so I was pretty sure that's what they were doing.
I've gotten a lot of phone calls and I've seen some pictures on social media, the Whip City guys zooming around looking at polls. So what they're doing now is they're looking at a bunch of the polls that are as part of the application process. So that'll help them if Eversource says, hey, you need to replace this pole. And they can go back and say, dude, you put this pole in 1957. Probably you should be replacing it anyway, right? That's that sort of thing, and have a good indication of what's what.
Save us that $200 anyway.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, or $5,000 or $6,000 if they want to charge you to replace the pole, because they're saying, okay, we have to replace the pole because we have to move stuff for you.
Do we know what percentage they've completed?
No, I do not. I haven't had a chance to catch up. That's me, I think. So I'm gonna try to bring up Mr. Can you admit me to the meeting so that I
Oh,
can
I
share the screen?
think I did.
Maybe it's me. Oh, it's waiting.
Okay.
There it goes. Think.
This is-
Sharing is not turned on. You can request. Oh, boy. Can you go down to the bottom and click on, yeah, or that's not the right one.
That's if I want to share
Yeah.
my computer.
What was that? Do it again. Click the arrow next to share. No, just to the right of the share, that one, yeah. What happened? Yeah, click that one. Yeah, see what happens. Okay, what do you know? Do you want to talk to this?
Sure, so the spreadsheet's got a few tabs of inputs. And it's all tied based on the first day of the month, so that things kind of trickle out from there. Then the summary tab gives you a month by month balance of the ins and the outs, and you know what your bank account balance is, so to speak. So right now, you hit the general inputs tab. You can see these are the inputs that were pulled from the contract that was circulated. That should be 224, not 223, but Make Ready was twice as expensive as the initial numbers they had given us. So that's reflected here. The $302,000 is the design and engineering that's in the contract. So that's taken out of the Make Ready costs, and that's an upfront cost, not a as it's built out. Hut construction, again, another number pulled from earlier documentation with a 4% increase applied to it, just for inflation. And you got the total build out costs, total infrastructure maintenance cost per year, assumes a 5-year life on the ONTs over the full build out. So that come 5 years after it's fully built out, we can start replacing those. We have the funds for that. And there's also a $50,000 administrative fee per year for salary or, you know, other expenses per recommendations. Assume 120 days from the time Make Ready starts to the time that build out is ready to begin, and then 120 days from build out date to activation date. Those are just guesses, so those are obviously subject to change. $100,000 was floated out there as an insurance cost on the total infrastructure. Subject to change. Figure insurance companies always like money, so there's a minimum of what they're going to charge us for that policy, regardless of how small our network is. I figure 25,000 sounds about right. No idea. Total dwellings pulled from their documentation. 85 monthly fee we're going to charge the customer. Activation fee of 100, and then the original number of 25 monthly cost per customer was written in as 28 in the most recent version of the contract. So that's what's reflected there. Hit the service areas tab. I just went and said, all right, we're gonna start building it out this month. We're gonna do 5 service areas per year. So that's what you see, the 721, 7, 20, 24, 25s, 26s, and 27s. And that covers all 19 service areas per their most recent numbers that they sent out. Bonds, basically we have to take out 1 per year to cover the 5 service area build outs. So that's what you see there. Term of 7 years didn't quite work out. So I put in a 10 and assumed a 2.5% rate. Yeah, that should be 2.5, not 0.025. So that could drastically alter the result. But $3 million bond on each one. And then based on that, you have the coupon rates semi-annual that roll into the summary. Grants, I got the $900,000 ARPA. As you said, it's not a grant, but it is money that does not need to be paid back. As we stated earlier, we have the $250,000 to add to that now. Again, that one is a grant, so it doesn't need to be paid back.
The ARP is a grant?
No, it was a, I don't know which one I call it, but we have that money in cash. It was the American Rescue Plan Act, COVID money. So the town allocated out of the last tranche of money, $900,000 of that money to this project. So
Is there a drop dead date on that project?
yes. I don't know the date. but it's not in the very distant future, within a year from now.
Right, so
That
that,
has to be committed. It doesn't have to be spent, but it has to be committed. I don't think we're gonna, if we proceed, I don't believe we'll have a problem with that.
Yeah, the design and engineering is $300,000 right there.
well, committed means you got documentation for it. It's not just you've got it in an accounting book, but it's,
Correct, correct.
okay. Very good, thank you.
One-time expenses. Here we've got the hut construction and the upfront make ready, which again is just the design and engineering per the contract that has already been signed. And then of course you got the summary that gives you the balance. We'll have to update the bonds sheet to have the correct interest rate of 2.5.
Mhm.
It could go up to 5 based on what I was seeing
And I
online.
think that's probably a healthier assumption, to be honest with you.
But obviously, there's a huge difference between 2.5 and
Oh, yeah.
5%
Oh,
on
yeah.
a $3 million loan. So once we fix those numbers, adjust any numbers in there, you can see the summary. The service area tab, right now it's set at 50% take rate. And as more and more time goes on and Comcast gets their speed faster and faster, that take rate is going to be less and less. Unfortunately, which dims the picture a little bit. So at 0.025%, it looks very good, but that's obviously not realistic.
Does this math if you change it right here?
Yep. So you can see that goes to a $75,000 payment per bond every 6 months. And then to go over the last column, and that's where you'll see your balance summary. So you can see that as the money goes out, the balance obviously goes down. And it eventually starts to look good, but
It starts to look good in 2040
Yeah.
too.
But obviously, if the goal is to have this self-sufficient, you can't really ever go negative. So at the end of the 10 years, when that $3 million bond is due, you either take out another one to cover the spread, or something needs to change with the numbers in order to be revenue non-negative.
So what's the significance of the change in colors on that balance column?
The deeper the red or yellow, the more negative it is.
Okay,
Subtle.
okay, gotcha.
So as you get this number back to. So here we are in 2024.
As we approach is zero,
42.
we're shading towards,
Escape code.
Yeah, I know. I think I messed it up.
It's escape key. Yes, no,
Yeah, I did it 60 times. I messed up here.
undo.
There we go. There you go. I was trying to run the calculator,
Or you could just drag the formula.
failing. So you need. It's an 18-year out projection to get to. 0.
And I don't know what the projected life of the network is, but I'm figuring somewhere around 20 years before you're gonna have to start really replacing and upgrading infrastructure, not just the ONTs. So. Not sugarcoating it, it's not a pretty picture. The extra $2 million of make ready definitely did not help.
No, no doubt.
However, any additional money we get in grants does help.
Oh, a lot, yeah, quite a bit. And we've been talking to a couple different folks about that too, but I think I haven't had much time, to be honest with you, to sit with this, and we probably should just schedule another meeting to get together and kind of go through this in a little bit more detail and play with some of the numbers, because I think there's some assumptions on expense timing, take rate, and service area construction that some may be way longer, some may be way shorter, and I think the take rate's gonna be higher, but we have to take a look.
50%?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we were talking in our subcommittee and figuring it could be closer to 30%. Because 50% is what Westfield Gas and Electric was telling us. And
That's their baseline assumption. They actually ran a lot higher. So like, that's the beauty of Excel is that you can play with this to see what that does and see if it has a market impact.
So I have a question. In the spreadsheet, does it like, is it showing you what you have to pay in the beginning of like all this process? Like, what are we gonna have to pay back every month?
yeah, we've got the 302,000, the design and engineering. And then the total make ready is divided by the 19 service areas. Due at the time that the make ready begins on that service area. HUT is another upfront cost.
Well, I guess my question is like, how much money do you need initially coming in every month to cover things? Like, how is that gonna happen in the beginning, I guess? Is that because we would have like money left over from the process to cover like a fee? Or I'm just wondering where the money's coming from to pay back everything.
The only money in is the revenue from monthly activation fees and monthly customer service fees, the $85 or whatever that gets adjusted to. That's
So like,
the only
we know from the spreadsheet like what the minimum initial buy-in has to be.
You mean the take rate?
Yeah, like, so say we build this out, the first section, and you only get 30% take rate in that area. Will that cover the cost, or is that not going to cover the cost? Like, what is the minimum amount you need to cover the cost?
Yeah, fair question. This is based on inputs going forward as opposed to a result going backward. So that would be a different analysis, but definitely worth considering.
We'll get this sheet sent out to everybody so we can all chew on it a little bit and come back and discuss it again as a group. Because this is really kind of a go, no go type of decision, really, to go back to the select board with and say, look, do we think that this can become sort of a self-sustaining entity at some point? And at least, as we said, was to pay down the bond, pay down our debts. And even at the end of the day, we say, okay, at the end of 2042, we go, okay, we're done. But taxpayers are whole, bonds are paid, and then we're done with the service. If that's, the ultimate outcome, or do we look at this and go, okay, that's too far in the future to get to satisfy the bonds? Because what's not here also is there's not, as Mr. Boyd noted, is you may have to borrow to retire other debt. You may have to borrow additional money. And we'll have to see, right? And we're only authorized right now, was it 3 million?
$3 million.
Yeah, we have a $3 million bonding authorization that we have not touched. Plus, we have 900 plus 250, so we have 1.1 on hand, and with the ability to borrow 3. And that basically gets you, close to some of the make ready. But not the build out. You have to start borrowing to do the build out, and that's when you start to. I'll have to look at some of these numbers to see where we can, how that's gonna work. And and this, by the way, this is yeoman work. Thank you very much, all of you, for that worked on this, is to take a look at this and say, okay, not all this, and I'll come right back to you, Ryan, I didn't forget, is, not all the service areas is not equal cost. There's gonna be some that are fairly inexpensive, or I call it more bang for the buck. Like you go over to Fernwood, Birchwood, right? You build that out and you're passing homes every 50 feet, right? And hopefully you get a good take rate over there, and great. Then you go to service area 19, which is, say the west end of town, where you got to go half a mile between, potential subscribers. I'm exaggerating greatly, but you know what I mean?
Right,
And so the cost may be high and the return is low, but that's the deal we made with the townspeople is we're going to get everybody.
Yeah, this
So
treats every service area.
This kind of, it kind of, you take the average and it'll all work out, but it's not gonna be as linear as that, depending on how you do the service areas.
So they've already determined the service areas? So is it on a map?
Yes. I thought I had shared that map in a previous meeting. It's part of
oh, I think.
it was
so.
part of the grant application, actually.
Okay.
And there's again, without the final design being done, it's kind of a swag. But they took the density of houses and residences and businesses and kind of boiled that down. I don't know.
And
that
that's
I
one
have
thing
it
we're
on
not
this piece of-
accounting for either in the numbers is, business rates,
Yeah,
business rates. You know, what do we,
Yeah, this has
charging
no
for business.
businesses in there so
Right.
far, right? So,
Inside.
huh?
it's all just residential.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. But yeah, as we'd agreed when Bob shared the work he had done was basically it's a good framework for us to be able to start working with, because now we've got something we can play with numbers.
Yeah.
And make additions and subtractions, and as some numbers come in a little bit more focus, maybe they adjust up or down, and ideally down, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I left Ryan hanging. Ryan, you had something?
No, I'm good. You guys are good. I just was saying, like, this is a great wealth of information. Like, it's definitely good.
Well, it's awesome. I'm gonna send this out so everybody has it as a draft. And then maybe we can meet in a couple of weeks again as a group and kind of come back with some thoughts on this. I just off the top of my head, I have a couple of, thanks for noticing or calling attention that there's no business revenue in here. To be honest, I think we gotta look at the monthly customer rate. I think it might be, your take rate might, this is like price elasticity of demand type of question, like what's the Comcast rate for gigabit? 120-ish, right? I think is all, if you get your bill for $120 at $85, will you get a good take rate for symmetrical 1 gig, or will people get that? Or they're like, I'm good with where I am at and not move. If that was something less, $75, $65, I don't know. Obviously, that's going to dramatically impact the other side of this. So you have to be very careful, but that's where we have to kind of have a discussion and then model this out so that we can make a good decision. And like I said, I think we take the number of businesses and say, okay, who would take this? And I think quite a few.
I agree.
So,
Thank you, everybody.
no, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you very much. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Don't speed. I think that this is. It's a lot to take in. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Absolutely.
You
No,
guys
we had
worked
the-
on
we had
it,
the-
but
we had the
none of
pleasure.
us have had the pleasure of seeing this. So I will distribute this to everyone so
No.
that we can have it.
Factored into all these numbers is the cost of our administrator.
Mhm.
And have salary increases for that individual been factored in there?
Probably not. And it's probably just a swag right now.
And what kind of clerical support is that individual going to have?
None right now.
And so that could change some of those numbers.
Mhm.
Is that,
Well, the other thing is he's taking best guess at insurance and,
Right.
different things like that. They're just best guess.
well,
Yeah.
what have other towns in Western Mass done for a budget for their,
I'll have to get that. I don't have it. I'll talk to the Whip City guys too as well and say, hey, what are other towns looking at for this? Obviously, they have a vested interest in having this go forward, but this is, the other one to reach out to is, well, the town escapes me. I have my notes. I'll dig it up to get that from them. Cause I think that hut might be light. I don't think the town can do anything for less than $100,000 these days. It costs us that.
Yeah, are we building a hut? We were talking about, oh, you do? So we can't? Okay,
So, the hut needs to be, we talked about having it maybe in this building or in the police station or something like that, but they need to have access to it direct and
24/7.
unassisted.
Right.
So, and the reason that it's suggested that it be, like shipping container size type thing on a pad. Is versus say in some place where we may have room, like maybe the fire department or something like that, is. When they're gonna need access to it. High probability that it's also at a time and period in that your FD or PD are busy,
Sure,
right? Trees down, this, weather,
right,
yada, yada. They may be busy, and so calling somebody back to give access to Whip City Fiber may not be feasible or prudent.
Right.
So giving them a small structure very near on this campus somewhere,
sure,
whether it's on town hall property or more than likely within the public safety complex on the other side of that drive is probably the best way. And it's pre-constructed, prefabricated, so
hey, pour a pad, bring it in,
and there is a couple of pads over there now, when we're looking at, can we utilize what's there? But even that's not the big expense. And these things you order, it's, a lot of times I don't think we're gonna be doing construction, because you've seen probably by reading some of the select board minutes or discussion, municipal construction is just, to be honest, absurd.
sure,
$1.5 million plus to do the roof and HVAC in this building was over $2 million, actually. It's crazy. It's a great roof. It's an expensive roof, but municipal bidding and the clerk of the works, et cetera, drives the cost. So
sure.
the less I'm looking at that number with, askance. But frankly speaking, even if that number's double.
Right.
It's not gonna move the needle on this, because the
No,
numbers
no,
are
it's
so
not the
big
big
on the
one.
other side.
Yeah, it's not the big
Right,
one.
and the same thing to your point is, even if the admin cost of a person plus another. It will be expensive, and it'll show up in here, but it's not gonna move the needle from 2042 to 2045. Or something like that. I think that's where we gotta figure out. I think the number to figure is the take rate. And the price, and see if you can find the balance in there,
If I could throw an idea out,
please.
we are part of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And there's a FOIA type rule for both state and local government, that Freedom of Information Act. And the budgets for these towns that have done this with Westfield. This information is part of their public record.
Mhm.
And can we get a copy of that
Sure.
and see what that looks like? And then we don't have to reinvent the wheel
Sure.
in some cases.
100%. And I don't think it's a matter of, you're right, it is, I think you can actually go in. You could ask for it versus you could go to town hall and do a FOIA request, but I think if you call a Whip City town and ask for this. The town administrator or whomever, they'll give you the information. And, I can ask, the select board's office to make those calls.
Yeah.
And say, hey, can you contact, and the Whip City cities are on the list, so it's not that hard to find.
Right.
The issue, some of them are the Hilltown ones that they did their own thing, that's gonna be a tougher one to figure, because their costs were heavily subsidized. So I don't know how much of it they've got where, but we'll ask them.
Yeah.
No, absolutely, no, it's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a great point.
Because here we're shooting blind totally.
Mhm.
And other people have already done stuff like this.
100%.
And, and we're at kind of it's either a blessing or a curse, is that we're a mix of Hilltown and Valley. Is that we got people in the sticks and we've got people cheap by jowl.
And I think Westfield is actually, they'll be forthcoming with this information. They have no reason not to. Westfield by geography is much larger. I think. Is Westfield like the second largest city by area in the
I
Commonwealth?
think it's one of, yeah,
But they also have a good mix of underground, above ground, dense, rural. So they have a lot more service areas, but the buckets should line up. Because, we have it in the preliminary costs for the make ready. And I'm sorry, the build out, the underground is expensive compared to overhead, but all of the newer subdivisions by regulation are underground. So there's going to be a significant amount of underground work that needs to get done. couple of subdivisions, they already have the conduit, I understand, so it really won't be that bad. Others that are somewhat older, but not that old. So in the grand scheme of things, newer but older, so they don't have the conduit for this under there that you're gonna have to dig. But I also anticipate that in certain areas, you'll have a very good take rate in those same subdivisions, so.
Right.
Total balance.
Of course, looking at the spreadsheet up there.
Mhm.
The numbers in parentheses are negative numbers,
They are.
so. Okay, and so those without. So those without parentheses are positive numbers.
Yes. Or they're a yeah, they may not be in dollars, so he's just using this as a general input tab, so
Oh,
it's gonna be $4.4 million expected make ready cost. And then there's gonna be 120 incremental make ready start to build out days. And then, there's 3,685 total dwellings. We didn't even put businesses on there. We'll have to put businesses in there. And, kind of guess what that is, or get it from EDC.
Yeah, trying to determine what.
And
we're
then figure
charging
a
for
take
businesses,
rate,
right?
take rate from that, right?
Right.
Some will, some won't, right?
Right.
There's probably places that need the TV side of things, so they may stay with Comcast and what they
Right.
have is what they have. And then there's other places that be like, oh yeah, we're all in to go
Right.
on this.
Yeah, cause I know I'm on. Now no longer available business class. With Comcast. God, where they hitting me? They hit my company. It's 160 a month. I've got. Terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not bad, but it's like 54 down, 11 and a half up. That's $160 a month. Now they keep bugging me to move to another thing. I'm like, are you telling me I can't stay on this one? Cause the boss doesn't want to pay more money. I said, if you're telling me I can stay. Great, I'll move up to the next one. But, or even to the next one down, that should be higher than what I'm getting now. But, yeah, no, there's no way for me to move off of the business one I'm on now and save money under the 160s, 158 and change a month that we're paying for mine. And the only reason we went that route was because I required at the time a fixed IP address, and they would not issue that for residential. Although I know there are people in town who were issued.
Well,
this.
things have changed.
Yeah.
Further discussion for this evening?
No.
We're gonna try to get together in a couple of weeks and see who's around.
sounds like,
So what's today's? Today's the 18th, so plus 14 would be 32. That's like the 1st of August, somewhere around there.
I think.
Am I right? I know,
I'm gonna look.
First of
My
August
math.
is a Friday.
Friday, so this would be the 31st of July.
Which is a
Oh,
Wednesday.
I'm sorry. Actually, the first is a Thursday. My bad.
I thought you were starting to question my sanity there, buddy. I thought.
I have
if you
I have
add-
something. I have something on.
I
on the
just-
second. I thought it was.
I
the
added
first.
14 to 18 and got 32, which would be the 1st of August, so, okay, so let's temporarily say the same place, 1st of August, Thursday,
Sounds good to me.
folks around?
Yep,
And then
I'm
hopefully-
around. so.
Hopefully, Mr. Crowley and others will be, and Mr. Kolick will be able to attend. Jason, Ryan, you guys around?
Yeah, I'm good for that day.
Great. So we only ran 20 minutes past 6:30. Any other business before us tonight or a motion to adjourn, please?
so moved.
That
Second.
was quick. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Have a great one.
You too. Bye now.
It was funny, I was waiting to hear from Bob and Jim. Bob wanted to take the first stab at it.
Sorry, the computer's glitching.
There you go. I don't know why it's so slow.
Our appointment's up.